We're all going through it, right? Market's different right now. And happy Veterans Day, by the way. Appreciate all my veterans out of there. One of the greatest things I was ever associated with was a wounded veteran hunting program that I did on our ranch I lease out of town. And man, when I got hurt, a lot of those guys that were also hurt, got they would send me some pretty motivating stuff. Mainly just quit being a baby, which I appreciate. You know who you are. But anyway, look, everybody's in the same boat right now in real estate. Okay, you gotta work harder than ever before right now because we're seeing way less sales every single year, and especially since COVID, right? So it went from 4.1 um, this last year, which is down 2.1 from the COVID, which experts say is, around a 33% drop in the amount of transactions that are done. There's 1/3 less transactions happening nationwide, and this year will likely not, there'll be no exception to that. Okay. And it's just an affordability problem all across the board. Houses went up so much in most places, and there's always a natural adjustment. Those that go up a ton usually come down a little faster than other places that just went up a little bit. Just kind of economics 101. But look, if you want to sell the same number of homes you did from a few years ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, you have to increase your productivity, right? So if a market's down 33%, just to stay the same, you're going to have to talk to 33% more people every single day. And if you want to increase your business, you're going to have to go up 50%. So if you were talking to 10, you need to talk to 15. If you're role playing once a week, you're going to need to role play 3 times a week. You just have to increase activity. I've been saying on here forever, you can't expect to close the same or more and do less work, or even do the same things you were doing 2, 3, 4 years ago. It's just simply not going to work. It's just delusional to think that in a market that's going down in transaction count and in pricing in most places, that doing the same old things over and over again are going to work, and not adapting your work ethic or the time on task in this new market. I mean, yeah, everybody's trying to sell you an easy button. Of course, everybody wants the easy way out, but the easiest way is just through. Okay. So again, you're going to have to increase that market share by 50%. Now, 1.5 times the activity. So again, if you were talking to 10, now you need to talk to 15. Talking to 15, you're going to need to talk to 22.5 daily to keep up numbers. Here's what nobody wants to talk about. The market could care less about your feelings. Okay. It's just not, maybe it's not a fair market, but yet it requires what it requires. It's literally screaming to you what you need to do. And so many people are not listening because it's uncomfortable. And most people fight that reality instead of adapting to it. Right? They just fight it. They're just, whether it's ego or whether it's they're just stubborn and they're just waiting around, which I don't think there's a lot of lazy people out there. I just think there's a lot of people who are scared to change. And it's not like I love it. I mean, for sure, right? So they kind of cling to the old things that they were doing, old effort levels, lying to themselves all along that it's going to, always we should say tomorrow's going to be better, but don't we have to play a part in that? So again, if you're a new agent, it's definitely harder to start in this market, but it's not impossible. A new agent can come in. Here's what's great about a new agent. A new agent can come in, never been in real estate before or just started somewhere else or whatever. They can come in and they don't know what it was like back in the COVID market where every single person was 150% motivated. Everybody thought they were so great when really everyone was just like, just please get my offer accepted. That was like really it. They're like pawing and scratching and fighting and kicking just to win, right? It took very little sales skills back then. It took a lot of discipline and not take it easy. If you grew then and you're going back now, then you realize it's a systemic problem. It's a systems problem. So again, if you're a new agent, it's going to take 2 times the effort. However, again, you don't have that preconceived notions before, so that could be an advantage. Now, in this market, the reason why we have to talk to more people is simply because less people are motivated and less people can afford things out there. It's not overly complex. So if half the people are transacting or 33% less are transacting, yeah, in order to find someone to transact, you just simply have to talk to more people. I mean, it's just kind of basic math, right? That's not so basic. Why? The brain. That's why. So you're just going to have to do the work, like really, really work. And it's not an above average effort. It's a full hands on deck effort. I mean, it's going to take more than you want to do. So then you have to associate why. So for me, I fight for my kids. I fight for my kids' future, right? Sarah's not here. So it's just me. I'm the sole earner in the house, like many other people out there. I'm not special, right? Um, so I have to attach the reason why I get my ass out of bed in the morning with what I want. What I want to do is never tell my, now I want my kids to earn everything that they do, but I don't want to ever tell them, no, we can't go on that vacation. I don't want to tell them, no, I can't buy Cassie, I can't buy you that cattle. I don't want to tell Ethan, no, we can't get those duck leases around the state and have the best duck hunting properties in the world. I don't want to tell them that. And so I have to do that. Also, I fight for my team because in a market like this, as a team leader, it's obviously there's all sorts of different kinds of personalities and effort and skill level, and just constantly pointing them to their capabilities, is hard, right? But it's worthwhile. And when it clicks and they do the work and use the systems to do the work in much less time, and they can hand off the files primarily over to the admin team and go out and help another person, because that's what this is all about. And I just see them using the system to work versus fighting the system that'll make their life so much easier. I just love it. It's one of the big reasons why I wake up in the morning, is just to inspire. So anyway, you got to talk to more people. You got to do more door knocking, more social posts, more calls, more open houses. And it's not just one of those things. It's really all of them. You really need to pick 3 to 5 things. And as far as the fastest converting transactions right now, for us, it's Expired and FSBOs. Second fastest is buyer and internet leads. But again, you have to go through a lot of those. You have to mine through a lot of them before you have to buy, and they're super expensive, right? Yes, we provide them. But you can run into one that's just ready today. Then Sphere, obviously setting a very strong foundation in Sphere is super important. So that's like the third fastest. And the fourth fastest is farming neighborhoods over the phone or both, which could include open houses, right? So you set an open house, you call around it, you mail postcards or whatever. Just listed, just sold calls, just listed, just sold postcards, and reacting to the incoming call to action lead that comes in through the website. That's really how we do it. And then providing value to all of these people, if they're not going to do something now, that you're in front of them often enough that you're going to be who they think about when they're ready to transact. Saw this really cool thing on Facebook the other day, and Mary had written it, and it said, prospecting is not to convince people to transact, it's to be there when they're ready to. And I think that's so important to remember. Nothing we say or do is going to make someone that wasn't thinking about it this morning think about it this afternoon. Okay? Now, gone are the days where just working with your Sphere is going to cut it. You can't grow your business on Sphere is transacting less and less like everyone else. So if only you're working with Sphere, they're going to transact less and less every single year. Now, most certainly, there's 5 or 6 things you could do to your Sphere to make sure that they kind of keep pace, but everybody's transacting less, which is why you need to take territory. And what do I mean by that? I mean talking to expires and FSBOs when you're only talking to Sphere. I mean talking to internet leads when you're only talking to Sphere. I mean calling around neighborhoods and doing open houses when before you were only talking to Sphere. And so you do those 4 or 5 things over and over and over again for long enough time and increase your skill along the way. There's absolutely no reason why you can't double your business right now. You could even double your business over what you were doing during COVID if you really wanted to, if you think about it. But what would that require? Well, most certainly a great schedule. Absolutely. Are you willing to look at your schedule and put in lead gen time and client time? Are you willing to tell people no? Are you? I mean, like who's getting in the way of you 2 hours in the morning? Tell them to leave you alone for 2 hours. The house ain't on fire, don't call me. Yeah, it's just saying no to some stuff too, right? So again, we got to take territory mentally and geographically. You got to drill into this old noggin up here. I have just as much trouble doing that as you do. Just ask my coaches. But the fact is, You do. It has to be done, right? So you got to take territory mentally and geographically, and you need to talk to people you never thought and practice how to, so it's not awkward when you call them. But you got to practice and then call, right? The resistance is just purely mental. That's all it is. Why? Because you crave comfort. You crave what's familiar, and you come up with all sorts of excuses like, well, in my town they do it this way. Oh, give me a break. Please. That's just called avoidance. Okay. In my area, no. This is your area. Master that. Make some calls. Talk to people. Again, practice. You're going to do great. Growth, you got to kind of surrender. They say die to self. You kind of have to do that. It requires what it requires in this market. Like we said before, I said before, always has, always will. So I'm just reading some of my notes here. I'm in the same position you are. I have to talk to more agents in order to have them come onto the team. I have to talk to more sellers. I have to talk to more buyers. I love the amount that I've practiced, tens of thousands of hours on what to say over the years, which is why I don't have to probably talk to as many as you, but that's what we teach every single day. So I'm rowing like a madman for my kids and for my team. And they're my why, like I said before, and I fight for them. So who do you fight for, and what are you going to do differently in this market to crush fourth? Okay? We just got to learn how to get uncomfortable, and we got to fight through that resistance, and then we need to go win. Have an incredible day.